In the quiet reflections of Stoic thought, one truth becomes clear. Your worth is not defined by how others treat you, but by how you choose to treat yourself. And yet, many of us find ourselves entangled in one-sided connections. Relationships where we give, wait, hope, only to realize we were never truly a priority. The Stoics would ask, is this person aligned with virtue, or are they only present when it serves them? Epictetus taught us not to place our happiness in things or people we can't control. If someone only returns when you're ready to walk away, it reveals more about their motives than your value. You're not here to be someone's second option, their emotional safety net, or their convenient fallback. The Stoic way reminds you, if their presence depends on your absence, it's not love, it's leverage. And dignity has no place in arrangements built on that. 1. They only reach out when they need something. One of the clearest signs that you're just someone's second choice is this. They only show up when they need something from you. Maybe it's emotional support, a favor, a distraction, or simply your presence to ease their loneliness. But outside those moments, silence. In Stoic philosophy, Epictetus reminds us, never depend on the admiration of others. There is no strength in it. When someone contacts you only in times of their convenience, it isn't about connection, it's about consumption. You're not being valued as a person, but used as a temporary solution. And yet, because of our emotional attachments, we often confuse this for affection. The Stoics would urge us to ask, is this within my control? No, their behavior is not. But how you respond is. Rather than spiral into frustration or self-blame, the Stoic chooses to acknowledge what is real without letting it disturb their inner peace. You can't control when or why they reach out, but you can control whether you continue to allow it. The emotional trap lies in the intermittent nature of their attention. Just when you begin to let go, they return, offering just enough warmth to keep you tethered. This inconsistency can be addictive, triggering hope that maybe they care after all. But Stoicism teaches us to live according to reason, not impulse. If someone consistently disappears until they need you, that's not care. It's calculation. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." When you see the pattern for what it is, your response shifts. You no longer feel the need to chase, to explain, or to earn your place in someone's life. You understand. If your worth only exists in their moments of need, then your presence is not truly respected. It's not anger that should rise in you, it's clarity. The Stoics never taught us to lash out or seek revenge. They taught us to detach with dignity, to protect our time, our energy, and our inner peace from those who see us as tools, not as equals. Reflection. If someone disappears until it benefits them to return, ask yourself, do they miss me or do they miss what I do for them? In Stoicism, the answer is simple. Let your value be rooted in virtue, not in the fleeting needs of others. You are not here to fill empty spaces. You are here to live with purpose and to walk away quietly when you're only remembered out of convenience. 2. They disappear when you need support the most. Life has its storms. There are moments when the ground beneath us feels shaky, when we're overwhelmed, uncertain, or quietly breaking inside. In those moments, support matters more than ever. Yet, ironically, that's often when some people vanish. The same ones who once smiled in your sunlight are nowhere to be found in your shadow. This is a painful realization, and yet one the Stoics would urge us to examine with clear eyes. Seneca once wrote, "A friend is someone who watches over you when all others turn away. But if someone consistently withdraws whenever you're vulnerable, then you're not truly seen by them. You're only tolerated in your strength. We must understand, when someone disappears during your hardship, it's not necessarily about you. It's a reflection of their character, their emotional capacity, or perhaps their discomfort with anything that isn't easy. In Stoicism, we are taught not to judge others harshly, but to assess reality. Their absence is not an attack, it is a truth. And truth, as the Stoics believe, is the only stable foundation for peace. Too often, we take their absence personally, turning pain into self-doubt. We wonder, was I too much? Did I burden them? But a Stoic sees through this illusion. Marcus Aurelius said, "If someone does wrong, it is because they are mistaken. That is all. Their choice to vanish does not reduce your worth. It only reveals their limits." Ironically, those who disappear in your worst moments are often the loudest during your victories. They applaud when things are easy but avoid you when you're broken. This is the mark of shallow connection, not true companionship. And as Stoics, we must learn to value depth over appearance, substance over charm. This doesn't mean you should become bitter or closed off. Quite the opposite. Stoicism encourages us to cultivate inner resilience, to be self-sufficient, not isolated. You begin to realize that while support is beautiful, it is not owed. And when it's absent, you do not crumble. You stand taller. The Stoic doesn't beg to be seen. They recognize who remains when the world falls quiet. Those few who stay when things are dark are the ones worthy of light. As Epictetus taught, it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. You choose dignity, even in disappointment. Final reflection. If someone is present only in your laughter but absent in your tears, ask yourself, are they truly walking beside me, or only passing through when the path is smooth? In Stoicism, we don't chase comfort in others. We find our foundation within. And from that place of quiet strength, we learn this truth. Those who vanish in your pain were never meant to stay in your peace. 3. They suddenly care when you've pulled away. It's a pattern as old as time. When you're present, they ignore you. When you initiate, they delay. When you give your energy, it's taken for granted. But the moment you withdraw, when your silence replaces effort and your distance replaces availability, suddenly they remember you. Suddenly they care. To the Stoic mind, this is not surprising. It's simply human nature exposed. As Epictetus teaches, when someone shows you who they are, believe it the first time. People who take you for granted don't necessarily dislike you. They just assume you'll always be there. Your consistent presence has made you invisible to them, until it's gone. In relationships, whether romantic, friendly, or even professional, there are those who operate on the illusion of control. They think they can keep you nearby without investing effort, simply because they believe you need them more than they need you. It's only when your absence creates discomfort that they react. Not because they've changed, but because their comfort has been disrupted. Stoicism asks us to examine intentions, not words. Marcus Aurelius warned, "Don't be overheard complaining, even to yourself. When they return with sudden concern, we must ask, is this guilt, loneliness, ego, or genuine care?" A Stoic does not interpret every reappearance as a sign of love. Sometimes, it's only an attempt to regain control. This is why the timing of their affection matters. Why now? Why only after your silence? True care doesn't need the threat of losing you to be expressed. Stoic wisdom reminds us, the value of a person is revealed in your presence, not in their panic after you leave. The danger is in being fooled. Again, many fall back into the same loop. Their return feels validating, even romantic. We mistake their discomfort for awakening. But often, it's just emotional reflex. Not all attention is affection, and not all apologies are change. A Stoic holds firm not with anger, but with clarity. We don't punish their behavior with coldness. We simply respond with reason. If their care only surfaces when we're gone, then what they miss might not be us. It might be the benefits of having us. And here lies the core of Stoicism: self-mastery over emotional reaction. You don't chase, you don't guilt, you don't even need to prove anything. You simply recognize patterns, adjust your boundaries, and let your silence speak the truth. Your worth is not a game to be rediscovered only in your absence. It is a constant, seen by the wise and forgotten by the ungrateful. Reflection. If someone only finds the courage to care once you've walked away, ask yourself, do they value me, or do they fear losing what I gave them for free? A Stoic heart does not return to what only wakes up after abandonment. Your peace is not a bargaining chip. True connection is present, not conditional. Let your absence be your answer, and your stillness your strength. 4. They are never consistent in keeping communication. Consistency is a quiet form of respect. When someone makes time for you regularly, not just when it's easy or convenient, it shows that you matter in their life. But what happens when someone's communication is like the wind? Sometimes present, sometimes gone, with no explanation or pattern? In Stoic philosophy, clarity and intention are virtues. If someone truly values you, they will reflect that value through stable action, not just through intense moments of connection followed by stretches of silence. Epictetus reminds us, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. If someone says they care but fails to show up in consistent ways, they are revealing the gap between their words and their reality. The problem with inconsistent communication is that it plays with your emotional state. One week, they're talkative, warm, and available. The next, they vanish without a word. You're left in limbo, unsure whether to reach out or stay quiet. You begin overanalyzing messages, blaming yourself, or worse, adjusting your expectations to normalize neglect. But Stoicism teaches us to observe facts, not fantasies. As Marcus Aurelius said, look things in the face and know them for what they are. If someone only maintains contact when it suits them, then their relationship with you is rooted in self-interest, not mutual care. You are not in a shared connection. You are in a one-sided arrangement. Communication is not just about frequency. It's about emotional safety. The Stoic way is not to beg for attention or chase those who are undecided about you. Instead, you maintain your dignity by stepping back and allowing people to show you who they truly are. And in that space, you begin to value those who are steady, who respond with presence, not excuses. When communication lacks consistency, you may start to doubt your own worth. But the Stoics teach us that our value is not tied to the behavior of others. The failure of someone to keep in touch is not proof that you are unworthy. It's proof that they are unready or unwilling to commit to emotional presence. It's easy to accept crumbs of connection when you're hungry for meaning. But Stoicism helps us pause and ask, is this communication making me stronger, or is it slowly draining me? When the answer leans toward emotional exhaustion, the Stoic path is to detach, not with bitterness, but with calm self-respect. Final reflection. If someone's communication makes you feel uncertain more than it makes you feel seen, ask yourself, am I holding on to hope or to something real? In Stoic philosophy, we seek stability within ourselves, not from the shifting behavior of others. True connection speaks with clarity and walks with consistency. Let your standard be this: if it brings you confusion more than peace, it does not belong in your inner circle. 5. They make promises, but never keep them. Promises are not just words. They are silent contracts of trust. When someone says, "I'll be there," or "I won't let you down," they are not only expressing intent, they are shaping your expectations. And when they repeatedly break those promises, they are not simply being forgetful. They are chipping away at the foundation of your relationship. From a Stoic perspective, the weight of one's word is a measure of one's character. Epictetus taught, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." In other words, your values are revealed through your actions, not your declarations. A person who consistently makes promises they don't keep is not struggling with memory or busyness. They are struggling with integrity. It begins with small letdowns, a canceled plan, a forgotten call, a vague excuse. But over time, it becomes a pattern. You start to realize that their words carry no guarantee, and their intentions never evolve into action. You might even find yourself adjusting your expectations downward, hoping for less, so you'll be disappointed less. But the Stoics would caution us against tolerating such erosion. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." If someone repeatedly fails to keep their word, they are showing you their philosophy, whether they realize it or not. There is a subtle kind of harm in broken promises. They confuse the heart. They whisper false hope. They leave you in a limbo between trust and suspicion. Over time, this inconsistency can make you question not only the person, but your own sense of judgment. And yet, Stoicism calls us to respond not with bitterness, but with clarity. A Stoic doesn't chase apologies or wait for someone to become who they should be. A Stoic accepts reality for what it is, not for what they wish it would be. If a person can't keep a promise, you simply stop building expectations around them. You move with wisdom, not resentment. True strength lies in observation. When someone promises but never delivers, the lesson is simple. Stop listening to their words and start watching their patterns. Let them be who they are. But more importantly, let yourself step away from the pain of false hope. In a world full of noise, a kept promise is rare and sacred. And when someone fails to honor it, they are not just breaking an agreement. They are revealing how much or how little they value your time, your feelings, and your trust. Reflection. If someone makes a habit of breaking promises, ask yourself, am I holding on to their potential or their reality? The Stoics remind us that integrity is not accidental. It is practiced. Do not cling to people who use promises as placeholders. Let their actions speak, and when they fail to speak with consistency, walk away, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. In the end, the strongest promise is the one you keep to yourself, to never settle for less than honesty. 6. They never prioritize you in important decisions. In any meaningful relationship, be it friendship, family, or romance, mutual consideration is the glue that holds things together. When someone values you, they naturally weigh your presence in their most significant choices. Not because they're obligated, but because you matter. But what happens when you're always the last to know? Or worse, never considered at all? When someone continually makes big decisions about their career, lifestyle, location, or relationships without a moment's thought for how it might affect you, it sends a subtle but unmistakable message. You are not a priority. Your input is optional. Your presence is convenient. And your feelings? Negotiable. The Stoics held that our roles and duties in life must align with nature and reason. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If someone does not value reason and relationship, they will treat both lightly." When you are excluded from major decisions, it is not just forgetfulness. It is often a reflection of emotional hierarchy. You may care deeply for them, but their actions reveal how little space you occupy in their inner world. You might try to justify their behavior. Maybe they're busy. Maybe they didn't want to burden you. Maybe they thought you wouldn't mind. But the truth is, people make time and room for what they truly value. When someone leaves you out of their most important crossroads, you're not witnessing their lack of time. You're witnessing their lack of regard. Stoicism teaches us to deal with reality, not wishful thinking. Epictetus urged us to examine everything by reason and never act on impulse or shallow emotion. If you are consistently not included in your partner's or friend's major life decisions, then your place in their life is circumstantial, not foundational. This kind of exclusion doesn't always come with malice. Sometimes it comes with quiet indifference, but the pain is the same. You begin to feel like a side character in a story where you thought you were a core part. You become reactive instead of collaborative. And slowly, you learn to stop expecting to be seen. But the Stoic response is not to beg for importance. It is to assess where you stand with clarity and poise. You cannot force someone to include you in their world, but you can decide not to linger where your presence is repeatedly ignored. A Stoic does not demand a seat at the table. They build one elsewhere if needed, without resentment. True relationships are partnerships. And partnership means decisions are not made in a vacuum. They are shared, discussed, and weighed with mutual respect. When someone fails to make space for you, they're not just forgetting you. They are practicing life without you. Reflection. If they never consider you in their important decisions, ask yourself, are you truly part of their life or just an accessory to it? In Stoic philosophy, we don't chase roles we were never truly given. We recognize our worth by how we are treated when it matters most. Don't fight to be seen. Instead, choose to invest in spaces and people where your presence is a part of the plan, not an afterthought. 7. They come back when you're finally happy without them. It's a strange and painful irony. The very people who once made you feel invisible suddenly reappear. Just when you've rebuilt your peace, reclaimed your confidence, and begun to truly smile again. They weren't there when you were breaking. They weren't there when you needed just one kind word. But now, as you stand on solid ground, they return with familiarity in their tone and nostalgia in their eyes. Why does this happen? Often, it's not about you at all. It's about what you've become in your healing. There is something magnetizing about a person who has rebuilt themselves. Someone who no longer needs others to feel whole. That independence, that glow, draws in those who once took you for granted. But for the Stoic, the situation is not unfamiliar. Seneca wrote, "The greatest wealth is a poverty of desires." When someone only shows up after you've found happiness, it reveals their desire, not for your essence, but for the energy you've cultivated. They don't miss you. They miss access to the version of you that didn't yet know your worth. This is the paradox of self-growth. When you were available, loyal, emotionally invested, they overlooked you. But now that you've learned to live without them, to thrive in your own space, they return. The question is not whether their return is sincere. The real Stoic question is, what does their absence in your hardest moments say about their place in your life now? Stoicism teaches us that true relationships are tested in discomfort, not comfort. Marcus Aurelius noted, "You learn to know a pilot in a storm. Likewise, we learn who truly values us not when we're glowing, but when we're grieving." If someone only reappears when the storm has passed and the sun is shining, then their presence is not grounded in loyalty. It's rooted in convenience. It can be tempting to let them back in, After all, we are human. We crave connection, forgiveness, and sometimes even closure. But a Stoic chooses what serves their peace, not what satisfies a fleeting emotion. You don't need to punish them. You don't need to be cold. You only need to observe clearly. Did they return for you, or for the peace you created without them? When someone watches you struggle in silence and chooses absence, that is not forgetfulness. It's a decision. And when they later return, it is your decision that matters now. You owe your peace to no one but yourself. Vinel reflection. If they come back only after you've found joy without them, ask yourself, is their presence now a gift or a disruption? The Stoic path reminds us, happiness built on solitude is not a phase. It is strength. Don't let those who ignored your pain become part of your peace. You've climbed too far to descend for someone who didn't reach for you when you were falling. 8. They only show up after you've moved on. Moving on is not just about forgetting someone. It's about returning to yourself. It's the long, quiet process of untangling your worth from someone else's absence. And just when the weight begins to lift, just when your heart starts beating for your own future again, they reappear. There's a reason this happens so often. When you were emotionally attached, waiting for a message, hoping for validation, they were silent. But when your silence finally becomes louder than your longing, when your eyes no longer search for them in every room or every memory, they sense it. The emotional cord is broken, and ironically, that's when they remember what you once gave so freely. Stoicism teaches us not to be ruled by our emotional reactions, but to examine the truth behind appearances. As Epictetus once said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. When someone returns only after you've detached, it's worth asking, is this love, or is it ego? Sometimes they return because they feel your energy has shifted. You're no longer dependent on their presence. Your confidence, your peace, your detachment. It becomes a mirror that reflects what they failed to cherish. It bruises their pride, not necessarily their heart. They want access to what they took for granted. But does that mean they want you? Or just the emotional security you used to offer? A Stoic doesn't make decisions based on guilt, loneliness, or nostalgia. They act with clarity. If a person couldn't show up when your heart was open and vulnerable, why should you reopen that door now that you've found strength in solitude? Marcus Aurelius reminds us, do not waste time on what you cannot control. You cannot control when someone realizes your value, but you can control what you allow back into your life. This is not about revenge or bitterness. It's about self-respect. Moving on is sacred. It's the result of countless internal battles that no one else sees. Letting someone back in without discernment risks undoing the very progress that healed you. You deserve relationships that recognize your value in real time, not in hindsight. You deserve people who walk with you through uncertainty, not those who chase after you once the road is smooth and paved. Vinal reflection. If they only return after you've finally let go, ask yourself, are they here to build something real, or just reclaim something they once ignored? The Stoic lesson is simple. Guard your peace like a fortress. Don't confuse their timing with fate. Sometimes, closure isn't found in reconciliation, but in choosing not to reopen a chapter that life has already helped you finish. 9. They manipulate your emotions to make you stay. Not all chains are visible. Some are made of guilt, fear, and emotional confusion. Subtle, quiet, and deeply effective. When someone senses that you're on the edge of leaving, they may not offer love. They offer emotional manipulation. They don't hold you with care. They hold you with control. This control doesn't always look like cruelty. In fact, it often wears the mask of tenderness. They may say, "No one will understand you like I do," or "I'm nothing without you." Sometimes they cry, beg, or share sudden declarations of change, things they never did when you were fully present. The timing is always convenient, just as you're learning to walk away. Stoic philosophy teaches us to be vigilant over our inner life. Epictetus warned us, "Who then is invincible? The one who cannot be upset by anything outside their reasoned choice." Emotional manipulation thrives in the gap between your values and your reactions. It feeds on your empathy, your hope, your fear of hurting someone else. But here's the truth. Love without freedom is not love. It's captivity. Manipulators don't want to see you grow. They want to see you need them. As long as you're uncertain, hesitant, and emotionally entangled, they feel secure. But the moment you begin to set boundaries, to see clearly, to say no, that's when they panic. And instead of respect, they offer tactics, guilt trips, emotional blackmail, and carefully chosen words that make you feel like the selfish one. For the Stoic, this is where strength must emerge. Marcus Aurelius said, "If someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake, I will gladly change. It is the truth I'm after." But manipulation is not truth. It is distortion. When someone constantly tugs at your emotions to prevent you from leaving, they are not fighting for love. They are fighting for control. Recognizing emotional manipulation is an act of clarity. Walking away from it is an act of courage. You must ask, does this relationship help me live according to virtue, honesty, respect, stability, or does it constantly put me in emotional turmoil? The Stoic response is not dramatic. It is calm, firm, and final. You don't need to argue to prove your pain or to beg for understanding. You only need to reclaim your autonomy. The soul that values inner peace cannot be held hostage by fear or guilt. Final reflection. If someone uses your empathy as a leash, that's not love, it's strategy. A Stoic doesn't stay in a relationship because they're emotionally cornered. They stay because it aligns with their values. And when it no longer does, they walk away. Not with anger, but with clarity. Guard your emotional freedom. Let no one write your story with the ink of guilt and fear. 10. They never fought for you, but can't stand to lose you. There's a specific kind of pain that comes not from rejection, but from indifference. When someone claims to care yet never shows up when it matters, you begin to understand. Affection isn't always commitment. They liked the idea of you, but they never did the work to keep you. They didn't ask how your day was when you were drowning in silence. They didn't offer support when you faced your lowest moments. They didn't defend you, stand with you, or choose you when it was inconvenient. And yet, when you begin to slip away, they panic. Not because they truly value your soul, but because the comfort of having you around is suddenly threatened. The Stoics teach us to observe action over intention. As Epictetus wrote, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." If someone tells you they care, but makes no effort to prove it, that contradiction speaks louder than any words. Love, after all, is not a feeling. It is a series of deliberate acts. It's presence. It's choosing again and again, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. But many people want the benefit of your presence without the burden of effort. They want your energy, not your exhaustion. Your loyalty, but not your storms. Your laughter, not your sorrow. In this quiet one-sidedness, you become their emotional security blanket. Something to reach for, not protect. Something to possess, but not invest in. And when you begin to pull away, not in anger, but in exhaustion, they suddenly wake up. They throw words at you. "Don't go. I didn't realize. You mean so much to me. But why now? Why not when your heart was still open? Why not when your silence was begging to be heard? Marcus Aurelius reminds us, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Let us then waste no more time trying to awaken effort where there is none. If someone never fought for your presence, their panic at your absence is not love, it's fear. Fear of losing access, fear of change, fear of finally having to live without something they took for granted. A Stoic does not cling to those who only realize value in absence. They understand that peace lies in walking away from those who only want to keep you, not cherish you. Final reflection. If they couldn't choose you in the storm, don't let them claim you in the calm. You are not something to be missed. You are someone to be honored. And when that honor is absent, the Stoic path is clear. Release what no longer serves your peace and walk with dignity into your own light. Don't wait to be fought for. Be someone who fights for themselves first. The Stoic path calls for clarity and self-respect. You're not cold for walking away from someone who treats you like a backup. You're clear. You're not cruel for setting boundaries. You're conscious. These signs aren't meant to harden your heart, but to awaken your reason. Your peace matters. Your time matters. And most of all, your worth is not up for negotiation. In the end, what you tolerate teaches people how to treat you. So, walk with calm, but don't ignore the quiet warnings. The Stoic doesn't chase, they observe. They don't beg, they choose. Let your steps be rooted in self-honor, not desperation. Because when you stop accepting the bare minimum, you make space for what truly aligns with your values, your peace, and your quiet strength.